The road we're on is paved in Garth.
Come along on the journey
as we explore
Garthology.
Think of it more as a conversation. I like that. So if this is truly a conversation, then I say let the conversation begin. Showtime!
Hey everyone, it's Deb.
And I'm Pete.
Welcome to Season 3, Episode 22 of Garthology. In this episode of Garthology, we are going to be celebrating the life and legacy of Mr. Jeffrey Bubba Strauss. Many people in the Garth family of fans knew Bubba, or at least knew of Bubba. He was a generous man with his time and with his love. Today we're going to spend our episode telling you about Bubba, about Bubbas Friends, and about Bubba's love of life. We also asked his Garth family to provide their Bubba stories as well, and we'll share those with you. Plus, I have some special audio that includes Bubba talking to Garth himself. Let's begin. On July 14th, 2020, Bubba was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer. He spent 2 years living the dance, often getting his Garth Brooks medication, as he called it, at Garth concerts. Bubba fought cancer with everything in him until he passed into eternity on Monday, July 18th, 2022. Bubba was a 1985 graduate of St. Ed's High School, where he was a 2-time state champ in wrestling. After high school, Bubba went to Iowa, where he wrestled for the great Dan Gable. After college, he came home to work in the service industry, and in 1991, he met his wife, Kathy Cahill. In 1994, he went to work at the post office, and for the next 26 years was a very well-loved supervisor, and also, with his love of wrestling, became the assistant coach of Rocky River High School for 25 years.
Besides Kathy, he had 2 other loves. He loved to fish. Every morning after her work, he would take out his boat and catch perch and walleye. And let me tell you, catching walleye is a lot of fun. I got to do that with my father-in-law. But his first and main love was Garth Brooks, who he even told him that he loved him more than Kathy. Well, maybe. Bubba had attended over 88 Garth Brooks concerts and started a nonprofit called Vets for Garth. He would contact a local veterans organization and invite them to a great concert. He did that over 55 times. And lastly, he and Kathy loved their Cleveland sports teams. He is survived by his wife Kathy of 31 years, a stepson Adam Cahill, his wingman Alex Paulson, dear siblings Karen and Sue, and he also had 4 nieces and 1 nephew Kurt, and their families who he adored.
On August 8th, 2020, Bubba was a part of Garth's Friends in Zoom Places Zoom call, and he got to speak to Garth himself to let him know the impact that his music had on his life. Here's a snippet from that Zoom call.
How are you?
I'm doing good, Bubba. How you feeling?
I'm kicking its ass as far as I can. 3 days down, and this day was a little different, little down with the tiredness, but I'm doing all well, and thank you for asking.
Bubba, I got to tell you, bro. I mean, if you don't feel it, I don't know how you don't, Hoss. Everybody is pulling for you. I'm sitting here going, damn, I could only hope if something would happen to if I would have the journey that you would be sharing, that many people would be pulling for me. Everybody loves you, Hoss, and you have everyone's strength, including ours.
You're not going to make this easy. First of all, those of you in Studio G, most of you know me. Those that don't, I'm Bubba Strauss from Cleveland, Ohio. And Garth, I just want to thank you for everything. You've been a part of my life for 31 years. And there's something that really sticks out to me, and it's a certain song that you play at your concert, and I'm not going to tell you what song it is right now, but I'm sure you know. But you come out afterwards, after singing that song, and you say something that really means a lot to me, and you say, "Thank you for my life."
Amen.
Well, Garth, thank you for my life, because you've been a part of it for 31 years.
You're sweet.
And those 31 years have made me the man I am today and gotten me to where I am. And that's where this leads me. It's the first time I heard the dance. It really impacted my life, and so many of us fans, it's impacted our lives. It's gotten me through some really rough times, and it's made me, like I said, the man I am today.
You know, you're talking about how being in your life kind of makes you the person you are. Understand, being in you guys' lives makes me the person that I am. So that's what I love about this dance, is I feel like, on my end, I don't feel like it's 50-50. I feel like you give more than I give, and I feel like I'm always taking. And we've talked about this from stage, and I know you've heard this kind of thought before. But for me, the music is everything. That's why you live and die for it. And I'm so glad something in what we did touches you and a nerve, because it's built a relationship now that will live beyond you and me. And that's what we're building here.
Also, my wife wanted me to tell you that she knows that I love you more than her, and she's okay with that. Just so you know, it's perfectly fine that she's number 2 right now.
Bubba, what is your wife's name?
Kathy, Miss Kathy.
You tell
Yes.
Miss Kathy I love her to death. Tell
Thank
number
you.
2 I said I love her to death.
I will certainly. And thank you, everybody in the G family, and that for the support. Garth, your music has brought so many people together from all spectrums all over this country, and they've been behind me with prayers and love.
Amen.
And that's what your music does. And we get together, and I don't know if you know this, but a lot of the concerts, we all get together and have our Garthaholics meeting the night before, and we sing and dance and share, and it's just, and we're on Facebook together,
I
and
see
we
the
are
pics
just
of the
one
videos,
happy,
yes.
big family that you have created, that no other genre and no other artist in my life has ever done like you do to us. And that's why we love one another, and we will go out of our way to take care of each other no matter what. And that's because of you and what you instill in us.
Kim Ashley wrote to us about her friendship with Bubba. Bubba was a true friend. I could tell him things and he would never tell anyone. We talked at least once a week, and the last time I talked to him was 2 days before he passed. Thank you, Kathy, for talking to me and keeping me posted after he just didn't feel like chatting. I loved Bubba, and he was a true friend. Mike Simmons also wrote to us. A few months ago, on a Facebook event page for Garth's Gillette Stadium, Bubba put out an announcement asking if any veterans were planning on going to the concert. So I sent him a private message stating that I was going. He replied with his phone number and asked me to give him a call. So I called him, and we got to talking about the concert, and he asked if I wanted to go. And I said, "Of course I do, and I am going. I have a friend that got club seat tickets for me, my wife, and one of our nieces." He replied, "So you're already going? Why did you reply to my question?" I told him, "You only asked if any vets were going. You didn't say why you wanted to know. I just thought you were trying to get a head count of vets." He laughed and said it had been a long day and that he probably should have been a little more explicit in his question. We talked for a while about my time in the Air Force and about what he does for the vets in the area. He wanted to know how far I was traveling to go to Foxborough. I told him I only lived 2 towns away. It was about a 20-minute drive. We ended our conversation wishing each other to have a great time at the concert. He private messaged me later about if I knew any places at Patriot Place to eat. I gave him a list of places at the facility and the closest VA hospital.
Oh.
Thanks, Mike. On June 25th, 2022, Bubba was going through a tough time in his cancer fight, and many people were praying for him to improve. Then something amazing happened. Garth was performing in Edmonton, Canada, and a fan at the concert held up a sign in support of Bubba. During Bubba's favorite song, The Dance, Garth spoke about the sign and about Bubba. Here's a snippet.
There's a sign right there that says Canada shares this dance with Bubba. Bubba is a cat that's been to every show you can imagine. And he's fighting cancer like hell right now. But you came together from the start of the concert to the end of the concert for somebody else. I love you, Canada.
Our third story comes from Bubbas Wingman, Alex. Alex wrote, I met Bubba on May 4th, 2019 at Garth Show in Minneapolis, Minnesota. He noticed that my seats were up quite a ways, so he offered me one of his seats on the floor. Then a few weeks later, he surprised me with tickets to Garth's Denver show, and so we went to that show together and had a great time. I have also been lucky enough to get to be with him at some of the dinners that he did for each of the vets in different cities the night before the concerts, and that was very special to me, what he does for the vets. He always called me his wingman, and that I'll never forget. From the moment we met, he always treated me like family, and I'm forever thankful for that. I'll always be proud to be called his wingman. He was one of a kind, and I'll never forget the amazing memories we shared together. Alex, Dive Bar Shark, and also Bubba's Wingman. Thanks, Alex. Jim DeMarco wrote, even when someone is sick for a while and you know what's coming, when it happens, it's devastating. I will never forget our friendship, our Pittsburgh radio interview together, or the fact that you, no matter what, you always welcomed everyone you met with open arms. You fought an amazing fight, and we promise to always love you and Miss Kathy. Love you, brother. Rest in peace, Baba Strauss. The Dance. Jason Bryan from the Garth Brooks Believers Facebook page also sent us some thoughts about Bubba and their friendship. So here's a couple things that he shared with us.
This is Jason, owner of the Garth Vault, vice president of Strauss, Bits for Garth. I met Bubba Strauss probably, oh my gosh, probably 5-6 years ago maybe. I don't know exactly when, but we hit it off really good. We met a couple times at concerts and started chatting a lot online, became good friends. We went to other shows besides just Garth. We went and saw Clint Black up in the casino up in Cleveland. We were the only two that got Clint Black to sign something. We were in the front, we got front row seats. In the whole show, we're holding up this thing, can you sign this, can you sign this, can you sign this? And he kept looking over and see us, and after the show was over, literally, he came right up to us and said, let me see that stuff. We handed it to Clint. He's like, I'll be back. And he went backstage, signed it, and had a stagehand bring it back to us. And so we were the only two that got something signed at that concert. That was Bubba's idea. Bubba's like, I'll get it, man, I'll get it. He delivered. We went and saw Joe Nichols up in Cleveland too, at Thirsty Cowboys. I got him backstage so that he could meet Joe Nichols. He gave Joe his Ohio State Buckeyes hat that he had, a brand new one. Yeah, Joe didn't, he was sad when Joe came out, he didn't have it on. Yeah. After the show was over and Joe left, he came back out for his encore. He had that Ohio State hat on. It was so cool. And then Joe signed the hat and gave it back to Bubba. So Bubba has Joe Nichols, the hat Joe Nichols wore that day, signed by Joe Nichols. And stories like this, just, he's infectious. Everybody loves him. Everybody loved him. That dude fished. He was an avid fisherman up in Lake Erie for walleyes, and he's the first person in the world that'll make sure nobody goes hungry, because he was passing out those walleyes to everybody he could see. He gave me a couple handfuls, big, huge handfuls of walleyes, already frozen, cut up. All you gotta do is throw some breading on it and stick it in the fryer. Man, it was ready. It was good to go. And he did fish fries for veterans up in Cleveland. He did some. He actually took some. I think he took some to Tennessee with him, one of the Tennessee shows, and actually took his grill and everything and cooked for the veterans down in Tennessee. I don't think it was Knoxville. I think it was Nashville before that day we had the thunderstorm and it was canceled. But that was Bubba, man. Bubba's just such a cool dude. We went up to Detroit and he asked me to come with him for Detroit. for his veterans of Garth. Bubba wanted to make sure that the veteran has never seen Garth before. So it becomes a brand new experience for the veteran. And the day before he go to the organization, they show him around the organization and all that. And so we got to walk around the organization in Detroit, and it just humbles you, man. It humbles you so much. And I'll never ever forget that. And that's what Bubba showed me. And anytime I think Bubba, that's what I think about. Anyway, I thought I'd share my experience with Bubba. I know I'm a little late in doing this, but I wanted to make sure and do it properly and from my mind. So, Bubba, we'll miss you, Bubba. All right, love one another, always. Bye.
Thank you, Jason. Your remembrance of Bubba really means a lot.
Okay, so for Deb and I's interaction and privilege of being able to meet Bubba and spend some time with him, it was well before we actually came face to face with him that we interacted with Bubba on a pretty regular basis. We exchanged phone numbers way back. Every once in a while, it always seemed at the right time I would get a text message from him. Hey Pete, it's Bubba. How you doing? You excited for this? You excited for that? And I thought that was pretty cool. And that connection with Garth, I think, will always be a phone number that I'll keep in my phone because it has that special connection. The song, the dance for him and for myself. We would always talk about that. God, we talked about that a lot and the reasonings behind the song. And so it was pretty special for me to be able to share that with Bubba on a very intimate one-on-one basis. But we went to the Garth Brooks one-man show in Vegas back in February of 2022. And Bubba and I obviously knew that one another were going and that you were going to be there. And we were texting, and I remember he called me that morning, and he was telling me he was doing some laps in the pool and he was getting some energy up and looking forward to getting some of that medication. So it was pretty neat because we were in Vegas, but we didn't plan on, going to that Friday night show that we talked about. And I knew that he was going to be there with Kathy and they were going to go to both the shows. So you and I were over at the casino and just kind of hanging out, and here comes Kathy and Bubba. Kathy was pushing him by in the wheelchair, and I was like, "Hey, it's Bubba," and he stopped and came over, and that was really neat to finally put a face to the name, I guess you could say, in person. I mean, obviously, we all know who Bubba is, and to have those few minutes before everything got hectic and the show started between the three of us and meeting Miss Kathy was very, very awesome. A picture I know that you and I both have, and we've shared it. One that, I'll always obviously cherish. There's just something special about the man. So we got super, super lucky to meet him there. And obviously we saw him, inside and out of the show both nights, which was nice to be able to see. I got to tell you, for a man who was going through so much, the smile on his face when he was inside that arena, and the guitar was sitting there, you'd never know it.
Right.
I mean, you would know it, but you never would know it. He never let it get the better of him. Mm-hmm. Always kept that real positive outlook and, smile on his face. Always willing to carry a conversation and answer questions. He never shortchanged you. He never gave you a short answer. He was always in depth about everything that you asked him. And that's a real good trait of a real man, I think. And somebody who's genuine about who he is and what he's about. So I really respected that a lot. So it was cool to finally get to meet him there. And then, of course, we went to the San Diego show. And, who knows where we were sitting until Aunt Deb does what Aunt Deb does. And before you know it, we're sitting down next to Bubba and Kathy and everybody. So, of course, we get there super, super early. And it was real neat because, again, we had been talking. We were going to try to meet up with them to have dinner before we went into the show. Right. And him and Kathy had recommended a real cool, quick place. And by the time we got there with traffic, they had already headed over to the show. Traffic sucked. But we did get over there and we had a beer and we had some good food, and into the concert we went. And of course we got there, earlier than what I guess anybody would really have to be there, but we wanted to. And it was cool because we got to go sit down and talk with Bubba and Kathy, and they introduced us to some amazing people that he became very, very close with. And we got to hear some great stories from those people as well, which I thought was awesome. And again, it was later in the fight, and other than him putting on an extra blanket, he had his signs, he had his smile, and he had his personality. Yeah. And I remember sitting back, like looking at him, when he was talking, and he was, that was another thing. As many shows as we've been to, as many shows as he's been to, and how close he sat multiple times, there were times you could see him still looking around like in awe, like you could tell he was genuinely happy to be there.
Right. In the moment. He was absolutely in the moment.
Always in the moment. That's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
So there's not a lot of people that will touch you through social media, maybe a podcast. I think the way that Bubba could touch all of us. And I think that there's a reason why he's had so many people who've reached out to us and who have supported him in everything that he's done. I know that he touched myself personally in a special way with the type of person he was. And again, that is a perfect way to put it. He always stayed in the moment. And I just very privileged to have known him. And I'm glad we share the same song.
Yeah. And that'll always be something that you guys share.
Yep.
In 2017, Bubba started taking military veterans and first responders to see their first Garth Brooks show through his charity Vets for Garth. By May of 2022, Bubba had reached out and taken 55 vets and first responders to their very first Garth Brooks concert, celebrating their dedication and service to our country. You can find out more by visiting their Facebook page at www.facebook.com/vets4Garth. That's Vets for Garth. Memorial contributions may be made to the American Cancer Society at 16501 Euclid Avenue, Cleveland, Ohio 44106, or www.cancer.org. Bubba reached out to our podcast at our very start. He shared us with other fans, he promoted us, and he encouraged us. We will miss him so much, but we know that his legacy will live on. In Bubba's memory, we leave you with his words and his favorite song, The Dance.
I'm glad I didn't know the way it all would end, the way it all would go.
Our lives are better left to chance. I could have missed the pain, but I'd have had to miss the dance.
I could have missed the pain, but I'd have had to miss the